Japan's no dancing sign is crazy. What?
Nuisance content creators continue to plague Japan as somehow the most content creators continue to plague Japan as somehow the most interesting thing they can do for social media is make
that guy just gets up and walks away. Look.
Plague Japan as somehow the most interesting thing they can do for social media is making the Japanese uncomfortable. So much that there's now posters.
No way. No. No shot this is real.
Specifically stating Japan is not a theme park.
Oh my god.
At somebody. So we'll go into the translations of those signs, how social media sites turn a blind eye to monetizing those unemployed behaviors, and why this is becoming such an issue that Japan had to make signs reminding people to have common decency. As the man that ran that TikTok has regular videos on YouTube where he sounds super reasonable, so it's confusing how he could be so short-sighted with his Japan antics. As his group of tourists went to Japan to basically use their country as a background for their mediocre dance moves.
Bro, he about to kick the baby. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing? What is going on?
Now, I do understand that there is an entire genre of dancing in public that thrives on social media, where they can get millions of views for doing so. And I'm obviously not doing videos criticizing those girls, not because of double standards, but because while on the surface they're all dancing in public to feature real-time reactions to their performances, it's just that these girls did it to feature the dances, while those TikTok tourists seem to feature the discomfort. As look at his view
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like the focus isn't the dance, it's the discord that it creates. He right.
When he's dancing in New York City, or bothering people in their subways. It's not notable, so nobody cares to watch, which are terrible view counts for someone with nearly 2 million followers.
What are you doing?
But then he can get millions of views through nuisance content, as obviously everybody is uncomfortable with him, so he records, saves.
What are you doing, man? Like, look at, dude. Bro. Yep. Yep. Man. I don't blame him. It's fucking annoying.
And uploads this specific take to get the viewer engaged enough to watch the remaining 15 seconds of dancing. And his audience calls him out, saying this isn't New York City.
Please don't bring, what does it say? Please don't bring this energy to Tokyo. I enjoy the peace and quiet. It's not New York.
Begging him to just leave these people alone, pointing out just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that wasn't the only video featuring his team forcing random Japanese people to be in their TikTok.
Look at what he's doing. He's leaning down where these girls are wearing skirts. Like, this is... Don't you understand how this would make somebody uncomfortable? Like, I mean, I feel like you're not supposed to do... Well, think about that. It's weird. Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, what are you doing?
Where it seems like cruelty.
And like, by the way, I don't think he's doing that on purpose to be a creep, but you know, like somebody randomly does that and it's gonna weird you out.
The content. And somehow TikTok looks the other way, labeling it as performed or supervised by professionals. Do not attempt. Just because
they're professionals that work in an office building and they have to supervise this while they're on their way to work. They're not wrong.
Slap your Cash App in your profile doesn't mean you're a professional, and judging by their mediocre moves, even by TikTok standards, I don't think these are professional dancers. They're just professional retards, as these grown men only seem to want to bother the students, as this dude seems to be keeping a careful eye on them while grabbing his girl, and they never seem to bother anybody like that. Not to mention all the girls holding their skirts, as their signature move is sliding towards strangers. Now I would like to think that
it's like, I don't think he's like, I'm not like, I think saying he's doing it on purpose is like, that's a lot to say, right? But you should know and have the self-awareness to know how your behavior will cause other people to feel.
wasn't the intention, but intention and interpretation can be completely different, especially
totally
when you're a
right.
foreigner that doesn't even speak the language.
Yeah.
As all these poor girls see are these very large men sliding towards them, not only disrespecting their cultural norms, but her personal boundaries as well. So she doesn't
It's
know
creepy
what he
and weird, bro. Like, it is. Because, like, you look at it from her perspective, like, she's going to feel like there's some weird shit going on.
might do next, as you don't need to speak Japanese to know this means leave me alone, and I just can't imagine
Look at this, bro. Like, what are you doing? See, this is the problem that I think a lot of people have. Like, I've really noticed this a lot, is that I don't know if it is that people don't understand consent. I think that they are self-indulgent and selfish, and they think that their enjoyment is more important than a person's consent. I think it's not that they don't. I think that most people can figure it out. It's so weird. So weird.
Somebody that's trying to build their brand online, recording this, uploading it, and not understanding
It's got 121,000 likes.
That this is going to forever ensure you will never land anything legitimate, as no brand or dance company in the world is going to take a risk on this resurfacing. And if this was just a one-off incident, maybe I could somewhat understand how they didn't realize Japan is in New York City. But judging by his TikTok page, which is in reverse chronological order, the video of them bothering people in the Japanese subway got millions of views. So they immediately returned to it, and keep in mind there was other subway footage that has since been removed. And what's worse is other clout-chasing idiots.
This is our favorite one.
See these videos going viral.
The international piñata.
They copycatted those actions in other Asian countries right after.
Like, look at these people, bro. Like, people are trying desperately not to look at them. And this is actually a really good strategy. Like, anytime that there's a crazy person, you can never, ever make eye contact with them, because that aggroes them. Like, if there's a like, you ever been somewhere and somebody's talking in a really loud voice because they're just fucking nuts? Never look at them. Because if you look at them, that is, now you are engaging them. You can't, do not look at them. Hopefully they'll go away.
Right after. This just sets the terrible precedence of tourists treating high-trust societies like Korea or Japan as a playground, and the only way they can finally get...
I don't know why people in America have this tolerance for this kind of behavior, and that they don't want a high-trust society. Because in my opinion, I think that if people are behaving in a hostile, unpleasant, abusive, rude way, I think they should get in trouble for that. You're causing a public nuisance. Like, the world is not your padded room to bounce around in. I feel the same way about, like, people stealing things or anything else. Like, you just don't let this happen. Like, there's no reason to let it happen. Why let it happen?
People to pay attention to them, further deepening Japanese people's prejudices against us. As Japan straight up has a MAGA movement now, where I don't know if they just like the concepts of borders, conservatism overall, or maybe just the memes.
I think it's probably just funny. It's probably just funny. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot to it.
But we're now seeing posters saying no circus performances here in both Japanese and English, saying Japan is not a theme park, crossing out a guy with a very specific haircut, not common.
That's fucked up. You guys got to understand that, like, a lot of other countries don't have the view on race that we do.
Known to the Japanese. Also posting a sign that definitely couldn't be made in America, illustrating 3 individuals bothering an otherwise peaceful subway car. That roughly translates to, have manners, be aware of your surroundings, and care about the people around you. Specifically,
but be quiet in the car. Like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, I don't know why people put up with people like this in the US. It's so annoying.
Quiet in the car. Now, I know
the blurred out characters are monkeys. Right. Right.
People would be offended by their particular choices in animals, but I really wonder if whoever made this poster did it specifically to drive a point home, as anybody posting this in a Western country would immediately be fired. But although docile in public, Asian countries don't quite have the same chill as we do here. And
They don't care about the race issues because they're not part of it. Like, the reason why people are worried about it now is because of the context of, like, slavery, Jim Crow, and, like, segregation. That's the reason why people are, like, hesitant to, like, do this. It's because of the history. Like, they don't have that same kind of history that we do.
How that poster was mainly written in Japanese, it makes me think they were exclusively communicating the message through the illustrations. As we have seen similar signs in New York City showing an obvious...
Y'all ever had somebody do this? That they'll, like, walk on to, like, a public space and they'll be listening to something really loud, and it'll always be something, like, really stupid. It'll be like a fucking like a seminar for, like, why the Earth is, like, flat or something, or it's not flat, it's like a cube. It's so annoying. Yeah, they, like, I remember oh god, I had an ex-girlfriend that lived in a streamer house, and she had a roommate. The roommate's name was Mitch, and Mitch would stay up all night into the morning, and at 8 in the morning he'd be streaming, and he would be playing TTS with a boombox, walking around in this nice gated community. And I remember these people even had, like, timestamps of the times that he did it when they were going to evict them from the house. And they all got evicted because of, like, not just that, it was like 10 other things too. But it was crazy.
Asian woman bothering what looks to be a Middle Eastern man, which is an interesting choice of representation, as I haven't been there in a while, but I don't recall there being an abundance of rambunctious Asian girls on the subway, so much that would warrant printing out and posting a sign.
Hey, bro, I don't run no damn until look at that. Time for the birthday. 3 times for the birthday.
Okay, so maybe things have changed. The point being, it's not a race thing, it's a culture thing. And for a lot of those Japanese kids being...
Just don't act like a fucking idiot. Like, it's not... This doesn't have to do with a race. It's not... You're not being discriminated against. Stop being a fucking idiot. Just stop it. It's so easy. It's so simple. Stop it.
Bothered in those TikToks, they might have encountered 100 Americans that look just like that dancer, but they're probably only going to remember the one that slid towards their skirt, especially if he goes viral on social media, bringing in an entire wave of copycats, all desperately trying to cash out on that nuisance clout, which is forcing the Japanese to actually change the laws for all foreigners.
Yeah, they've even had signs where it says, if you can read this sign, please come in. If not, go away. And it's like, it says, like, we're closed. So that way it basically leaves the restaurant open, but at the same time, Japanese people know that it's not open because they don't want to deal with foreigners. Because people treat going to Japan like going to a zoo. Like, I remember seeing people try to, like, stop these, like, I think the word's geisha. I'm not sure what the term is for it. But, like, women in, like, the traditional, like, Japanese, like, makeup and dress and everything. And, like, they're taking pictures of them like it's fucking Harambe. Like it's Mudang. What's going on? Don't you have any shame? How do you do this? It's a reverse suit, yeah.
My favorite corners of YouTube is those walking through Japan in 4K videos, as it just looks so peaceful and clean, making me incredibly jealous that Los Angeles doesn't look like this. So I hope that one day
Yeah, where's the crackhead? Like, there should be a crackhead that lives here. He should live inside that street lamp.
Make enough money to go visit, having unique adventures like Mario Karting through Tokyo, until I understood how much the locals actually hate it, as I imagine if I was late to work in my hometown and a bunch of hooligans were holding up traffic, treating my morning commute like a playground, I'd be pretty annoyed too, so I'd respect the country enough not to do it, as we want to visit the Japan seen in that
That's the thing is, like, I actually worry about this anytime I would go somewhere. I hate the idea of being inconsiderate or rude. I know that you guys might not be like, well, wait a minute, you? Actually, yeah. Like, I try very hard to never make a person uncomfortable and to never say something that's going to hurt their feelings or upset them in real life. Like, I'm always polite. I'm always nice. I'm never mean to people. It's understandable. Yeah, in person, exactly. Now, in a WoW raid, that's different. But in person, yeah. Even more in public, yeah, absolutely.
4K footage, not a Japan filled with American idiots screeching through the streets pretending they're Luigi, but it's always the tourists that demand you respect their culture that never stop to think if they're disrespecting yours.
Yeah.
Has that rail company in Japan actually considered legal actions against the TikTok?
They should do that. Because people won't stop doing this until they're held accountable. And I really wish they would do this and like actually take legal action against them rather than just ban everybody. Because the truth is that there are a handful of bad actors, but most people, I bet, that go to Japan respect the culture and they respect the people there. The same as going anywhere else. I think that the majority of people do this, but you have a handful of people that are bad actors. It's like if 100 people shake your hand, one person slaps you in the face, who are you going to be thinking about? The person who slaps you in the face, right? It's just the way it is. And so I think like just take the bad actors, hold them accountable, and let everybody else live in peace. Because I think that like one of the worst problems is when you make rules for everybody in order to punish a few people. Because at that point you punish and you make culture less natural and you make things less. It's kind of like, this is going to sound stupid, but it's kind of the reason why I didn't like the GDKP ban in WoW. I was like, well, why are you going to punish everybody else because a few people break the rules? That's not fair.
Other American tourists are getting arrested over their antics, while the Japanese city had to block the view of Mount Fuji to stop the foreigners from visiting, as the actions of a few short-sighted...
That was the 7-Eleven, I think. I remember seeing that. I was like PewDiePie or Abroad in Japan, or somebody like that made a video of it.
Selfish people can really ruin society for everybody, and the saddest part about all of this is it was literally for nothing, because I'd like to say I know a bit about becoming a social media influencer at this point, and what these nuisance streamers or content creators don't understand is going viral for something that you can't or wouldn't want to replicate is worse than not going viral at all. You can build a base of subs that enjoyed seeing you doing something stupid, but unless you want to progressively do...
No, the thing is, if you build a career being a clown, eventually that comes, like, the end result of that is you driving into a brick wall and blowing yourself up. So, like, any type of, like, nuisance content or harassment content, people want that to keep going up and getting more entertaining. Also, it has, like, a really short shelf life. And the reason why it does is because it appeals to, like, middle school boys, basically, right? And so, these kids are in middle school for 3 years. By the time that they're 15 or 16, they're probably already going to think you're a loser. So, I mean, you have such a very small audience to work with that in a lot of cases, you just really don't have a career. Like and like, that's really the way I think it happens. What about IShowSpeed? IShowSpeed does clown stuff, but he's also very entertaining and he's extremely energetic. That's the difference. So, like, IShowSpeed doesn't harass people. Like, he might do... I remember, like, he was barking at a dog and then a dog bit him. That's funny. He's doing that... He was very clearly, like, I mean, I'm sorry to break the fourth wall. He was doing that intentionally to get the dog to have that reaction because it would be funny, right? And so, in a lot of cases, he's respectful, and a lot of the people there like him. They want him to be there. Speed has some self-awareness. Yeah, exactly. He used to be shittier? Yeah, he was. And everybody was shitting on him. And I was one of the only people that defended Speed. I was like, he's a kid, man. Like let's not act like... It was so weird how people were shitting on him so much. He's like 18 or 17. Like, yeah, it was a mistake. He shouldn't have done that. But like, come on. Like, think back whenever you were 17 or 18. Like, we're really trying to, like, get this kid banned off social media over something. Like, it's not really even that big of a deal. He screamed at a baby? Yeah, I mean, of course it's, like, obviously, but he's done some dumb stuff. But the problem is that there's like if you look at like the entirety of his content, I think that the entirety of his content's not like that. There's like a few instances. Whereas these people, this is their content. That's what they do. That's why people are watching them.
Stupider things to maintain that audience, you can't pivot into anything you'd actually be proud of, as you've effectively trained the algorithm that you only appeal to an audience of degenerates, forever immortalizing your idiocy to those millions of viral views.
True.
I do these videos covering unemployed behaviors, not necessarily to dunk on anybody, but to hopefully show them the bigger picture and possibly prevent the next generation of nuisance streamers. But more importantly, to protect what's left of Japan before I can finally save enough to go visit. So if you appreciate my concise, light-order commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, hopefully I've earned your subscription, then go check out the video on how Korea finally took care of the problem that Japan set free.
The problem. That's a good way to say it. Yep, he's exactly fucking right. I think that these the companies over in Japan need to try to take legal action against the people that come to Japan and treat it like a theme park. I think it is so fucking annoying. It is so obnoxious. When are ban appeals? I might watch one other thing, then we're going to do ban appeals. So yeah. Don't you feel any shame because you're hindering your coworker's income because you're too vain and stupid? No. No. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, here's the way I see it, is that the people that go there, right, I think that like one thing that's really, really sad about it is that I think that they're creating worse stereotypes. They're creating even more racism and more xenophobia because they're coming to these other cultures. They're using these cultures as effectively a theme park for them to act like assholes. And creating, yeah, I think that they are. I really do. Like, maybe somebody might be like, you know, kind of open-minded, and then they have a bunch of Americans come to their country, you know, like Logan Paul, like Johnny, so I don't know if he's an American, right? But like, you know, people from like the Western world, he's an English speaker. And, you know, like that other black guy that was like breakdancing on the studio, on like the subway, I mean, like you have these guys come, and big surprise, you're going to have these people hate Americans. He is American? Yeah, I just don't really know. I don't want to confirm it. But, yeah. Pranks are very taboo. They need to know what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, I hope that they get held accountable for doing this kind of stuff because... and I even think here in the U.S., we should hold people to a higher standard. I really don't like how people are able to just, like, act like complete clowns and fools and buffoons in public, and everybody else is expected to just walk around it and put up with it. I don't know why is it everybody else's responsibility to be a padded room for people with bad intentions to bounce around in? Why should we put up with that? I don't think that we should. There's no reason to it, and I think it's ridiculous. That's what I think. Dude, nice shirt. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And, yeah. Let's see here. Hear a dog whistle in the distance someplace? There's a dog whistle? You think it's like some kind of dog whistle for, like, anti-black because there are, like, some black guys doing this? No, I don't think that's the case at all. There's been a lot of videos of people that weren't black doing annoying things in Japan, too. Like, we've seen tons of videos. Like, for example, the woman taking the picture of the geisha. No, it's got nothing to do with their skin color. It has everything to do with the way that they're acting. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, or another Asian. Like, if you're going into a place and you're harassing people like Logan Paul, yeah, look at Logan Paul is worse than any of these guys. Like, by several degrees of magnitude. This isn't a race issue. It's never been a race issue. It's people going over there and acting like assholes. It's that simple.